All right, if you guys please would find your textbooks, and we are going to turn to page 192. We're going to turn to page 192 in our textbooks. We are looking at tips and probability, or proportionality, not probability. All right, a room service waiter or waitress at a hotel receives an automatic gratuity that varies directly with the amount of the food bill. So suppose the room service waitress at the Sun and Sand Resort receives a gratuity represented by the equation G is equal to 0.15B, where G represents the gratuity and B represents the bill. Okay, so this is our equation. G is equal to 0.15B. Okay? Most times you guys are used to seeing an equation written y equals k times x. Well, we can rearrange this equation to look like y is equal to 0.15x, something that we're used to seeing, okay? Most times with different equations, they'll add in different letters to try and trick you up to say, oh, well, there's a G and a B now. Does that mean anything different? And the answer is no. It still means G is still equal to y and B is still the same thing as x, okay? Well, now I know that K is this number right here. K is always the number that's being multiplied by x, because it's asking what is the percent of gratuity, or what percent gratuity does the room service waitress receive, okay? And that means what is K? Well, I see that K is equal to 0.15, and that is the decimal version of my percent. So I need to take this decimal form and I need to turn it into a percent. So I'm going to take my decimal and I'm going to always move it 2 times to the right, and I'm going to receive 15%. That means off of my bill, I'm going to take 15% of my total bill, and I'm going to leave that much extra for my tip. All right. Okay, if the food bill, letter B, hang on, there we go. If the food bill is $19, how much tip did she receive? So I need to plug in 19 into my equation. So I'm going to have y is equal to 0.15, and I'm going to plug in 19 for x, because that's my total bill. So I'm going to do 19 times 0.15. 5 times 9 is 45, carry the 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 more is 9. So I'm done with the 5, and I'm going to add a placeholder. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. And then I'm going to add these up. Well, 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus 9 is 18. 1 plus 1 is 2. And I have 2 decimal places, so I'm going to move my decimal 2 times to the left. To get my tip amount is $2.85. $2.85. There we go. All right, if the room service waitress there we go. If the room service waitress receives a $2.10 gratuity, so that's how much I receive in tips, how much is the food bill? Okay, so our equation looks like this. Y is equal to 0.15x. Okay, I'm told how much I receive. So I'm told my Y value. So I'm going to have 210 is equal to 0.15x. Now, to get x by itself, I need to divide by 0.15 on both sides, And let's go ahead over here, and I'm going to have 0.15 to 0.10. Now, I cannot divide with a decimal on the outside, so I need to move my decimal all the way over to the very end and talking it to a whole number. What I do on the outside, I have to do on the inside. So my decimal is going to end up right here. Now, I know 15 can't go into 2, but it can go into 21 one time. Okay, so borrow and carry. Well, 11 minus 5 is 6. Bring down the 0. Well, 15 can go into 60 4 times, because I have 15, 30, 45, 60. So 4 full times with nothing left over. So that means X is equal to my original bill of $14. $14. All right. The next one. So let's look over at the next page of number 2. Actually, we're going to skip number 2 and we're going to go over to number 3. Skip number 2. All right. So the Gourmet Eatery has a policy of automatically adding an 18% tip to every restaurant bill. So write an equation to represent the relationship between T, the tip, which I'm going to say Y, and restaurant bill B, I'm going to say X. Okay. So I know that I'm going to have 18%. Well, how do I write 18% as a decimal? Well, I'm going to take my decimal place here and I'm going to move it 2 times to the left to get from a percent to a decimal to have 0.18. So I'm going to have my tip is equal to my percent amount as a decimal, 0.18, times my total bill of X. All right. How much tip is added to the restaurant bill of $54? Use your equation to determine the amount of tip. So I'm going to plug in $54 into X because that is my restaurant total. So 0.18 times 54. So let's go over here. 54 times 0.18. Well, 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 3 more is 43. Done with the 8, placeholder. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. I'm going to add these up. Well, 2 plus 0 is 2. 3 plus 4, 4, 5, 6, 7 is 7. 5 plus 4 is 9. And I have 2 decimal places, so I'm going to move my decimal 2 times to the left to get my tip amount is $9.72. $9.72. All right. Maria receives a tip of $12. How much is the restaurant bill? So that is my Y value. I know how much in tips I receive. So I'm going to have 12 is equal to 0.18 X. To solve for X, I'm going to divide by 0.18 on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to have 0.18 divided by 2, or not 2, 12. 1, 2. And I have to move my decimal 2 times on the inside. So 1, 2. So that's going to be 0, 0. So any empty spots, I'm going to fill it up with 0. Okay. All right. Well, 18 can't go into 1. It can't go into 12, but it can go into 120. So let's see here. 120 divided by 18. Well, I see that it can go in there 6 full times. Well, what's 18 times 6 is 108. So I have to borrow and carry. So 1, 2. Well, wait. I started with 120. Now I'm at 120. So I notice that no matter how many times that I add a 0, I'm still going to end up having 6. So my restaurant bill is roughly $66.67. Okay. If a restaurant bill is $12, how much is the tip? All right, so that's my bill. So I need to know my tip, which is Y, 0.18 times my total bill at 12. So I'm going to have 12 times 0.18. 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. Placeholder, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. So 6, 9, 10, 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. I have 2 decimal places, so I'm going to move it 2 times inward. To get my tip amount is $2.16. All right. How much would a restaurant bill be if your tip was $3.20? So I'm going to plug in 320 for my tip spot, which is Y, is equal to 0.18X. To get X by itself, to see how much our bill was, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.18. So I'm going to have 0.18, and see if I can do this right, 320. I'm going to move it 2 times outward. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. Well, 18 can't go into 3. It can go into 32 one time, I believe. Yep, it can only go in there one time. So I'm going to borrow and carry. So what 2, 4, and that's 1. Bring down this. Well, I know that 18 times 6 is 120. So it's 18 times 7. That's 126. 18 times 8, that's too much. So 7 at 126. Carry, borrow, 4, 1. Oh, wait a minute. I end up with 140 again. So that means my 7 is repeating. So my restaurant bill is roughly $17.77. $17.77. Okay. All right. We're going to flip over to activity 2.6, and this is on page 196. So if you would please flip over to 196. All right. So a salesperson makes a 10% commissions on each sale. A salesperson commission is proportional to the cost of the products sold. So number 1, complete the table to show the relationship between the price of a car and the commission the salesperson receives. Okay. So all we're doing is filling in our table. So for every price of my car, I'm going to receive 10% commission. So if I sold $0, do you think I made any money on it? Well, obviously is no. If my car is $9,000, I'm going to receive 10% commissions. So think about this. This is my total. This is my percent. I am locating, so my commission, so let me actually go ahead and do this. So my price is my whole. My commission is my part. And I have my percent here. Okay. Do not forget our equation. Part is equal to percent as a decimal times the whole. So I've got part is equal to, well, my percent is 0.1 times 9,000, which is $900. Times 0.1 is 900. Now I'll look at this one. I have 15,000, so 0.1 times 15,000. And I should receive 1,500. Well, wait. What if I had $1,000 in commission, 0.1 times W? How do I find out my price? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 0.1 on both sides. So 1,000 divided by 0.1. And I see that my car was worth $10,000. Okay. What if I sold it for 18,000? So 0.1 times 18,000. I received $1,800. Well, now I have $2,000 at 0.1 times W divided by 0.1. Not times, divided by 0.1. My total car was worth $20,000. All right. Graph the relationship between the price of a car and the commission received. Well, let's stop and look at this for 2 seconds. So I know that I'm going to start at 0, 0 because I've got commission and then I have price here. Okay. I have commission and I have price. If I think about it, I'm going up and I'm going up in a proportional way because 1, I'm starting at 0, 0. And I know that however much my car is, however much the price of my car, I'm going to increase by 10% all the way through. So I'm going to end up at a proportional relationship. So let's take a look at number 3. Explain how the graph illustrates the relationship between the car price and the commission is proportional. So basically, how do you know that it is proportional? Well, the first thing is that it goes through 0, 0, the origin. Okay. The second thing is that it's a straight line. And then the third thing is that it has a constant of proportionality. Proportionality. It has a constant K value, okay, which is 0.10 all the way through. So define your variables and write the equation that represents the relationship between the price of the car and the commissions. Okay, so Y we're going to say is equal to my commission. X is equal to price of car. So what did I do to the price of my car? So when I had the price of my car, what did I do to the price of my car to find out how much in commission I'm going to get? I multiplied it by what? My percent is a decimal, right? By 0.10. So if I didn't know the price of my car and I said it was X, I'm going to multiply that number by 0.10, and this gets me my commissions. So my commissions is equal to 0.10 times the price of my car, X. All right, so let's try it out for number 5. How much commissions will a salesperson earn for selling a $25,000 car? Determine the commission with your equation. All right, so Y is equal to 0.10 times 25,000. So let's see, how much did we earn in commissions? Not divided, times 0.1. So in commissions, I earned $2,500. Okay. If the salesperson earned $1,250 in commissions, what was the price of the car? So I know my commissions, which I told you was Y. So I'm going to plug in $1,250 for Y is equal to 0.10x. Well, to get X by itself, I'm going to divide by 0.1. Now, is 0.1 the same thing as 0.10? Yes. All I did was just take off the 0. So divided by 0.1. And I see that my price of my car is $12,500. $12,500. All right. For each situation, define variables for the varying quantities. Write a percent equation to represent the relationship, then answer the question. All right. So an automobile saleswoman earns 12% on all her sales. Last month, she sold 3 cars for the total sales amount of $28,950. What is her commissions rate? All right, so she received 12% on everything she did. So it's still in the same exact equation. Y is equal to K times X, where K is my percent as a decimal. So 12% as a decimal is equal to 0.12. Okay, and I know that I sold it for a total of $28,950. So Y is equal to 0.12 times 28,950. The number of cars I sold doesn't really matter to me in this context. So I'm going to have 28,950 times 0.12. And I see that in commissions, I received $3,474 from those 3 cars. Okay. All right, let's look at number 8. A real estate agent earns 6% from selling price of each house. If he sells a home for $250,000, how much commission did he make? Well, remember, 6%, I need to take my decimal, move it 2 times to the left. Any empty space is a 0. So I'm going to have Y is equal to 0.06. And I'm going to multiply this by my total of $250,000 for my house. And let's see, 250, not divided, wow, times 0.06. And I see that just in my home, did I do the right numbers? Yeah. Just in my home, I'm going to receive $15,000 in commissions. $15,000 in commissions. It's a lot. All right. Number 9, a salesperson made $2,450 from a 12% commissions on a car. How much was the car? So I'm finding my total, my whole. All right. So Y is equal to, well, we already know what 12% is a decimal. It's 0.12x. I know my commissions, which is our Y value. So 2450 is equal to 0.2x. To get X by itself, I'm going to divide by 0.12 on both sides. So 2450 divided by 0.12. To get X is going to be roughly $20,416.67. So roughly my car is about $20,000, maybe 21. All right. And the last one, number 10, a real estate agent made $7,500 on a $150,000 home. What is the percent commission of their home? All right, so I know Y, I know X, I'm trying to find K. So I'm gonna have 7,500 is equal to K times $150,000. Well, to get K by itself, I'm gonna have to divide by $150,000. Divide by $150,000. So I have 7,500 divided by 150. And I see that K is equal to 0.05. Well, that's as a decimal. What is it as a percent? And as a percent, I'm gonna have to move it 2 times to the right to get me 5% in commissions. If you guys have any questions over that, please let me know.